Okay. Just so everybody knows, we are now recording this webcast, so we can post the link on the International Observe the Moon website and the My Moon website as well. So folks who miss it tonight can go back and watch it later. So if you are on with us this evening, first of all, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And at the end of the webcast, when we have the link up, we ask you to share it with somebody if you knew who wanted to make it tonight but couldn't. You're more than welcome to do that. So with us this evening is Brooke Hsu. She is the Education and Public Outreach Lead for the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter mission. She is also the lead for this event we're calling International Observe the Moon Night, or INOM. And this evening she's going to tell us about that, how it started, what it's going to look like this year, how it's different from last year, and kind of different events that we have that are going along with the event on September 18th. So it's all yours, Brooke.
Thanks, Andy. I wanted to start just by saying that INOM is actually in its first inaugural year. So for those of you who are participating, we welcome and are glad to have all of you, and hope that you join us for this year and many years to come as INOM gets bigger and better every year. It started with a group of us, and I should say that it's not just myself, it's myself and many other people who have worked very hard to make INOM happen, many other organizations both across the United States and across the world. And so we're very grateful to have all these great partners with us, and able to bring this event to everybody and have people around the world join us. So last year, NASA launched two missions, which you may have heard of, the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter mission, or LRO, and the Lunar Crater Observing and Sensing Satellite mission, or LCROSS. They're co-manifested, so they were put on the same rocket and launched together on June 18th of last year. Last August, as part of the International Year of Astronomy, and also to celebrate the successful launch of these two NASA missions, the LRO team and the LCROSS team held events at their respective locations on opposite coasts of the United States. And they were really well received. We had almost 2,000 members of the public show up to the events to come and hear lunar scientists speak and observe the moon through telescopes with amateur astronomers. And we decided that because it was so successful and people clearly were interested in the moon, that why not do it again and make it bigger and better? So that's what we've done this year. So INOM, like I said, is a multinational effort. We have partners across the U.S. and across the globe, including the LRO EPO team, which is located at Goddard Space Flight Center, the LPI team, or Lunar Planetary Institute team, which is located in Houston, Texas, a group of people at Marshall Space Flight Center and at Ames Research Center, who are making up the primary points of contact for this event. But we also are working with Astronomers Without Borders and the Astronomical Society of the Pacific. So they're helping us kind of spread the word about INOM and make it the events that we all know and hope that they're going to be on September 18th. So September 18th, you'll hear that date a lot. That's when it's happening. And if you go to the website, which is observethemoonnight.org, I'm going to put it down here at the bottom of in the chat window. You can actually go and see how many locations around the world are hosting International Observe the Moon Night events. And I counted this morning. We're up to 30 plus states throughout the United States, and over 25 countries around the world. So there are all sorts of information about events that are being hosted, so we hope that you find one near you. So there's lots of information on the website about it, but basically we're just asking people to walk outside your door or find an INOM event and just take a look at the moon, because many people don't get a chance to do that often. And so we're asking people to just go take a look, and you might see some things you never noticed before, because you may or may not have taken the time to just go up and look at the moon at night. We are broadcasting presentations from our scientists, and we'll provide information on how to get to see those broadcasts on September 18th. So if you can't get to a location in person where you can see a lunar scientist come and talk, then you can join us on the web virtually and be able to get some information that way. But it is a participatory event, so we do encourage you to participate one way or another. And I think that's all I'm going to cover, and I'm going to open up for questions.
If anybody has a question, feel free to either type in the box or just use your mic if you got it.
Okay, well, since people are shy, I will mention that I'm getting feedback, Andy. Let's see.
Yeah, like Scott trying to answer or ask a question. Sorry.
Yeah, yes. Is there a specific time or just a date?
Well, it depends on the individual events. The overall date for the entire world is September 18th, but each location is going to start at a different time based on where they are. So on the East Coast, at Goddard, we're going to start our event at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Andy, you guys are starting yours a little bit earlier, correct?
It's at 7 p.m. Central Time.
So we're basically just looking for people to have events. The moon is actually going to be a waxing gibbous. So we chose the date of September 18th to make sure that there was good viewing conditions for the moon. So it should be up early in the evening, and will continue to be up through the duration of the events. So it should be easy to spot that evening. I see Laura has a question here. Can you tell us more about the contest associated with INOM? Sure, Laura. We're going to have several contests with INOM this year. The first one is the Lunar Photography Contest, and that's open now for submissions, and we're asking amateur astronomers and professional astronomers alike to submit their images of the moon, whether they're landscape or close-up or wide angle, and we're going to basically, based on the selections, choose the top 5 in each category. So there's a pro category and an amateur category, and then the landscape, wide angle, and close-up views of the moon for each of those, and open it up to the public. And the grand prize winner, winning entry is actually going to be used in all of our promotional materials for next year. So all of the logos that you see and all of the flyers that you might see, all the pictures that are on the website, the winning contest entry will be used in all of those things. Additionally, we have some extra special prizes which we're not at liberty to talk about yet, but they'll be pretty cool, forthcoming to the winners for each category, and then the overall grand prize winner. I see Amanda's asking about what will happen if it's cloudy or raining on the day of the event. That's a good question, Amanda. I'm not sure where you're located, but a lot of places are making concessions for that. We're working with our international partners to have live streaming of the moon from telescopes from around the world for that day. So we'll put a link on the INOM website, and you'll be able to actually just see the moon. So if you can't go out and look at it in your own night sky, you can at least see it online. And that will be live shots from looking at the moon. So you'll be able to see it even if it's cloudy. I failed to mention that you're welcome. We actually have a second contest going on. It'll be at the start of the event, and that's for the use of lunar observation journals. So these are paper that'll be prepared where we're asking you to go out and observe the moon over the course of a month. And note what time it rises, if you're still up that late, what time it sets, and what the shape of the moon looks like, because it does change shape every day of the lunar cycle. And ask you to take a photograph of your completed lunar journal after a month, return it to us, and those who submit their completed lunar journals, observation journals, will be entered into a raffle to win a Galileo telescope. So these are replicas of the telescopes that were actually used by Galileo. Scott asks, does our president know, and does he plan to observe? I haven't had a conversation with him, Scott. I don't know if it's moved up the chain to the president. INOM will be included in a report to the UN. But I certainly hope he does find out about it and that he plans to observe. There was a star party held on the White House lawn last year, And while we weren't able to make that happen again this year for INOM, hopefully he'll hear about it and he'll at least walk out on the White House lawn and take a look. I will say too that for this year and each of our next 4 years, we chose themes to help guide us with INOM. And so this year's theme is seeing the moon in the whole new light. And I wanted to mention to everybody that have been several lunar missions in the past couple of years, not just the 2 by NASA, but there was also a Japanese, a Chinese, and an Indian satellites all sent to the moon. And the data coming back from all of these spacecraft have given us a wealth of information about the moon, and we're learning things about the moon that we never thought were even possible, like the discovery of water. That's one of the really interesting discoveries that we've noted over this past year with MQ, which is an instrument on the Chandrayaan spacecraft, which was the Indian spacecraft, from the impact from LCROSS, and from the instruments aboard LRO observing that impact. So it's been pretty exciting for us. And so we want to share that with everybody, and we'll be posting information about those discoveries on the INOM website as well. Amanda, again, I don't see why that would be a problem, but you're asking about talking to some of the guest speakers after the event. Are you asking about the ones that we're going to be streaming live? Yes, Amanda. The idea is to actually get people involved and have them come to the events. So last year at Goddard, we had over 700 people attend the event, see the guest speakers, and look through the telescopes. And so a lot of these events are actually being put on by amateur astronomy clubs, and they do this sort of thing all the time. And they basically host star parties for the general public. And so I imagine that most of these events will actually be in person and have people come to them. Steph asks how teachers might get their classes involved. Well, there are a couple of ways. We encourage the use of the lunar observation journals in the classrooms. It would make a really good student project. They can also plug into the materials that are on the MyMoon website. There are tons of hands-on activities that are there, teaching about all sorts of different lunar concepts. So I encourage teachers who might be out there and listening to take a look at all those activities, and all of them are tied to the national standards, so you can figure out how they would fit into your curriculum, and use those activities leading up to the event, and then hopefully find a local event that your students can plug into and attend, and so they can join in the fun. Scott, is this a NASA-sponsored event, and has Bolden made a statement? This is a NASA-sponsored event. We have made a couple of press releases. There will be a couple more coming. As far as I know, Bolden himself has not made a statement about the event, but that's a good point. I think that we might want to talk to him about that. But now I also want to add that NASA is one of many partners. So while the initial idea came from us doing kind of pilot tests last year, there are many other non-NASA, non-governmental partners involved in this effort. And it's more than just one entity because it is such a huge undertaking, but also such a global event. Scott asks if we recommend a filter on our scope. I don't think it'll be necessary. Most scopes, unless it's a relatively small aperture, you're not going to see the entire disk of the moon. It's also not a full moon, so it's not full brightness. I wouldn't recommend probably looking through the telescope at the lunar surface for too long, but it's not going to be full brightness, so it shouldn't be too bad. You should be able to use your scope without a filter. And I'll also plug that one of our partners, the LCROSS EPO lead, Brian Day, is going to be giving a talk next week on getting amateurs, kind of a Q&A for amateur astronomers on what you might want to consider when you're doing your lunar observations with your telescope. Did you guys miss that last part?
I can hear you fine here, Brooke.
Okay.
Brooke, maybe you can talk a little bit about these tweet-ups.
Sure. You'll notice if you went to the website that Andy posted, where you can see the events that are occurring, you'll see little T's all over the map, and these are locations that are actually hosting tweet-ups. So our partners, we have all basically pitched in to use Twitter to help announce INOM, and it's at Observe the Moon. And so the locations that have T's are actually hosting tweet-ups in conjunction with their INOM events. So keep an eye out for registrations. I know LPI has their registration will be open soon for their event, and Goddard also will be having a tweet up. There are also, so any of the locations you see on the map, on the Observe the Moon Night map, will have tweet ups. So what's a tweet up? For those of you who aren't familiar with Twitter, Twitter is kind of a microblog where you can talk about what you're doing and follow people, so you'll see other people's microblogs on your what's called a Twitter stream. Well, Tweet Up is a phenomenon where people who have become Twitter friends have actually decided to meet in person at what's called a Tweet Up. So you have a couple of people you might follow on Twitter, and you all happen to be in the same location at the same time for whatever reason. Decide to meet up in person and have a tweet up. So during this meeting, you get to meet people face to face, and you can typically tweet about your tweet up. So you're microblogging while you're meeting the people that you're blogging about, and basically get a chance to know the people who might have similar interests as you. In the case of the tweet ups at some of these events, the tweet ups are actually going to include some other activities. The one at Goddard is actually going to have some VIP treatment. Our tweet up participants are actually going to get a private tour of the laser ranging facility and get t-shirts and some swag, and get some one-on-one time with some of our speakers at our event. And so the different tweet ups around the world will probably have something similar, but it all depends on the people who are hosting the tweet ups and what they decide to do. Some of them may just have people come and meet each other face to face, just like you would if you're going to a convention or planning a tweet up at a restaurant. So it'll vary, but this is an opportunity for you to meet people of similar interests at a live INOM event.
I'll just jump in real quick and just mention that at the LPI tweet up, that's actually when our scientist will be presenting, Dr. Walter Kiefer. He'll be presenting during our tweet up. LPI doesn't have a cool place to tour like they have out at Goddard, so we can't do that, but we will have samples brought back by the Apollo astronauts in these acrylic discs that NASA's made. So we'll have one of those that people can view those. But I guess my point is that all tweet ups are different. It just depends on the individual locations.
So Scott is asking if we're recommending any targets, specific craters or etc. for observing. And yes, Scott, we actually on the INOM website have a lunar map. So it actually shows the phase of the moon for September 18th and has some highlighted features with a little bit of information about those features on the back. Now, what you're going to be able to see on the surface of the moon that evening is going to depend on your telescope. So it'll depend on the aperture and magnification. But even if you're just observing it with the naked eye, you can see the features that are on the lunar map. So we encourage you to take a look at that map. It's under the download section, and download it and use it on September 18th. And I should mention too that coming in October, we were a little early for it this year, but next year this will be part of a larger ongoing event called the Year of the Solar System. So we had the International Year of Astronomy, and some people may have heard of IGY, or the International Geophysical Year. Well, stateside, we're having what's called the Year of the Solar System, which is befittingly for the solar system is two Earth years long, or a Martian year. So it starts on October 1st. And for next year's INOM event, which will occur in October, INOM will be the featured event for October of I guess will be the starting of the second year of the Solar System. So Year of the Solar System is actually going to be, you'll see a lot of stuff coming from NASA that has a theme, and each month has a different theme, and you'll find all sorts of resources related to that theme. So one theme might be ice throughout the solar system. During that month, you're going to see all sorts of NASA resources, podcasts, blogs, educator resources, videos, animations, all sorts of stuff related to that theme for that particular month. So each month starting this October for 2 years, we'll have a different theme, and you'll get to see different resources featured on the NASA Solar System website. And so October of next year will be the moon. Is that right? Did I get that right? I'll have to look at the calendar. But INOM for October of next year will be one of the featured activities.
That was hey, Francine's got a question coming up. And another thing about International Observe the Moon Night is, yes, there's events being planned here and other NASA centers, but the cool thing about it is that you don't have to have an event either. You could just have some friends together in a backyard and barbecue and just check out the moon. It's just how, if you want to go to a big event, that's great. But if not, you just want to have a small thing, that's cool too. It's like Brooke said, it's about raising awareness of the moon, and it's there. It's right there, and everybody can see it.
Francine's asking, Scott was asking if there are any former Apollo astronauts participating. Not personally in touch with any of them. I heard a rumor that Buzz Aldrin might be interested, or not, yeah, Buzz Aldrin, but I don't know how serious that was. I haven't talked to him recently. So hopefully, but we haven't heard anything officially about any of the former astronauts participating. Will we be looking for reports from the participants? I'm not sure what you mean by reports, Francine. Are you looking for, like, in the field reports or people blogging about it afterward? We do have a hashtag for Twitter. It's INOM10, Andy? INOM10. So if you're at an event or you're looking up at the moon on September 18th, we encourage you to use the hashtag. I'm going to type it up on the chat screen.
Actually, it should be a lowercase n first one.
INOM10.
It's case sensitive.
Oh, it is case sensitive. That's good to know. Andy is our social media extraordinaire for INOM, so he knows all the ins and outs. Are there downloadable posters on the site? We don't have any posters like 24 inch by 36 inch posters available, but we could probably point you in the direction of posters that could be downloaded. Yes, Francine, the answer is we would love to hear about what you did for INOM. We're going to provide a location on our website for you to do just that. So we'll have a link available to hear your feedback.
Okay, Amanda. How can you access the webcast once it's been recorded and posted on the site? It's real simple. We'll just post. There'll be just a link to it. So when you go to the INOM page, actually it's the same page it'll be the same page I posted there in the chat box where the info on scientist presentations on September 18th. On that page, kind of towards the bottom, there'll be a link to this site. You'll see it. We'll make it obvious. And you just click on that link, and it'll just open up everything you're seeing here in front of you, and you can watch it, and you can share that link. So it's pretty simple.
So I hope you all get the opportunity to check out the website and find an event near you. Or like Andy said, if you can't make it to an event, just walk out in your backyard on September 18th and look up at the moon. And let us know how it's doing. So I'm told that October 2011's theme for Year of the Solar System is going to be moons and rings across the solar system. So our moon is one of many moons, as many of you might know, that are found throughout our solar system. So that'll be the theme for October 2011. Good question, Scott. Has the Neil Armstrong Museum in Ohio or Smithsonian Air and Space or an event at Cape Kennedy? I've not seen any of those show up on our map yet, and what we're trying to do is spread the word. And INOM is really designed to be an event where people can kind of just join in and participate as they want. So with a few exceptions, we haven't gone around and contacted specific locations to host an event. But hopefully the word will get out, and maybe you can help us with that. And they'll decide to host an event, although we're only 3 weeks away at this point. But we may look at that as an approach for next year.
I just mentioned that we checked earlier. We've had one submission so far for the photo contest. Somebody submitted a beginner's wide angle shot. When you submit them, there's a link to the submission page from the INOM photo contest page. And actually, what happens is you're redirected to a page on the MyMoon, LPI's MyMoon site, that you submit your page through. And then once we go in and check and see that, we put it up in the gallery, the Flickr gallery on the MyMoon page called Lunar. And we'll put a link to that up on that contest page as well, where you can start reviewing them.
Scott says he hasn't heard the same buzz about INOM as IYA, and that's right. This is our first year for INOM, and we're working out some of the kinks. We're kind of taking this year as a lessons learned year, but trying to get as many people as involved as possible. But hopefully, now that we are starting to get the word out about INOM this year, it'll be much more widely known next year and much more widely participated in. And the good thing is we're planning on doing this as far as the eye can see. So this will be a yearly event from here until somebody else decides they want to do it, and we can't possibly do it anymore. But we're all really vested in this effort and hope to see that it becomes this huge event from year to year. No, the photo doesn't have to be taken from the 18th. It should be taken, though, between now and... Andy, when does the contest close?
The 23rd, September 23rd.
So any time between now and September 23rd. We are asking that the photos, you be on your honor system and the photos actually be taken between now and then. But we also wanted to give it kind of a month's window in case you are in a cloudy area and don't get the opportunity to photograph the moon that often. But we wanted to kind of center it around the INOM event and give people the opportunity to take photos during the event as well and submit them as part of the contest. Tish, you're looking for a video to introduce INOM. There is one on our website. If you go to more, and hold on, I have to look at the link myself.
It's just
go to more webcast videos. The one you posted?
Yeah, they're on the left. The info on scientist presentations. It's at the bottom of that page. Oh, I was just gonna say, talking about the themes for INOM and the year of the solar system. You said next year is the moons and rings. I was thinking, isn't that kind of the theme for like the last for 2014? I think for INOM, so we just kind of missed by a couple of years. But we can do it twice.
I guess we'll have to do it twice. So that brings up a good point. Next year's theme is actually going to be the moon around the world. So we're going to be looking for people to submit their cultural or personal connection to the moon through stories or poetry, art contests, and we're going to provide a place on our website for people to do that. And we're going to have a contest, basically an art contest next year surrounding that theme, and then the winners of that contest will be used again for any INOM stuff. But we're really looking forward to being able to allow now this large international group of people who have joined in this effort to submit their perspective on the moon and what the moon means to them. So that'll be next year's event. Oh, that is a good question, Scott. I don't know off the top of my head where in the sky or the moon will be, or what bright star planet will be in conjunction. But we do actually have on the downloads page, you can make yourself your own planisphere, which will enable you to basically see where the constellations are, where the planets are, and where the moon will be with respect to one another on September 18th. So I encourage you to take a look at that, and you can use that as a guide for that evening. I'll also say that our resident amateur astronomer, Brian, actually used to be professional astronomer, now does it in his spare time. Brian Day will be able to answer that question and many, many more, as he's our resident expert on that. That's a good question. And do we know if the rise and set time is on the website?
No. Wouldn't that be different depending on where you're at?
Yeah, he was asking Eastern Standard.
Oh, specifically for Eastern Standard Time? No. Although we could link to an ephemeris. You can just put in your location and it'll spit out and tell you when the moon set and moonrise would be for that day.
Sorry, every time I shake my head, my laptop shakes, so it doesn't look like my head's moving at all, but I am nodding in agreement. Which country is set to return men to the moon next? I don't have an answer for that. It would seem that the Chinese have a pretty good fix on sending the moon to men to the moon by 2017, but I think that still remains to be seen, and it'll be interesting to watch over the next couple of years.
It looks like Michael is typing away, and that's cool. That's great. We'll wait to see if his question comes up here.
Michael, you must be talking about Cafe Press. Again, Andy is our resident expert on all things social media and products. So we'll ask Andy that question if those are available.
No, they're not available because that wasn't. I guess Cafe Press doesn't offer those. They pretty much print on T-shirts and as you probably saw, like mugs and stickers and that kind of thing. I'll go back and look again. I don't recall seeing. Um, I'm guessing you're meaning. Yeah, I don't think. I'm guessing you mean like lapel pins. Um, lapel pins or even writing pins. That it wasn't something that they offer. So that's why we don't have them.
We do have the high resolution logos available for download on the website. So if you wanted to make maybe not lapel pins, but the larger button pins, you should be able to just take that logo and basically plug it into a pin maker and be able to get those made.
Blake just shared there that in Rock Hill, South Carolina, the rise time was about 4:55 p.m. Local time, and it'll set about 2:45 in the morning on the 19th. So East Coast folks, there's about approximation of when you can expect the moon to come up and go down again. I was just want to mention on the um, photo contest, to kind of explain a little bit more in case you haven't seen that page yet. Brooke mentioned this idea, this thing with a landscape, wide angle, and narrow angle. And just what we mean by that is a landscape is like if you would see the picture of a moon over the beach or over the water or in the trees or something where it's in the background. Um, the wide angle is more of what you might consider a global shot. It doesn't have to be a full moon. It could be first quarter, it could be third quarter, it could be a crescent, whatever. But you see most of it in the frame. A narrow angle would be then where you really zoom in and you get a good shot of maybe a particular feature on the surface. So those probably are going to require a telescope to do. But that's the three basic differences, and you can submit into one category or to all three if you want to. And whether or not you consider yourself an amateur well, on this site we refer to beginners versus experienced, is up to you how you want to classify yourself. Scott, yes, we have a online store where you can go buy International Observer of the Moonlight T-shirts, long sleeve T-shirts, like coffee mug kind of deals. There's even a shirt for dogs. I'm not sure how maximum size of dog be before that doesn't fit anymore. But yeah, I'll put the link to that up here in the chat box.
I don't think it'll fit on my 80-pound lab. Scott, you'd have to check with the Cafe Press store on that, about whether or not they would be delivered on the 18th.
Yeah, Cafe Press is you just upload your logo or design you want to use. You tell them, you pick the products you want that logo to be on. They put it on, and then people just go and order. So it's and everything on there is at cost. It's not raised, so we're not making a profit off it or anything. We just had to just making it possible for folks to get some item stuff. Okay. Well, if nobody has any more questions, looks like we may kind of be squeezing the last. Never mind. I'm not gonna use that analogy because it was wrong. Anyway, I think we'll wrap up for this evening. So, thank you all for coming on and joining us tonight, and thank you, Brooke, for taking the time out from your rock climbing to help us out this evening about Icon.
Thanks,
So
Andy. I
again,
enjoyed being here.
that's September 18th. That's less than a month away. So look at our map, see if there's anything near you that's happening. If not, maybe you can contact your local astronomy club, which we have links on INON website to find out where astronomy clubs. See if you have one near you. Maybe you can contact them and see if they got something going on. And if not, you can ask them why they're not doing something, and then maybe they will. So again, thank you for joining us this evening. Next week, a week from today, on September 1st, already September. Brian Day, who we mentioned a few times tonight, will be our webcast speaker, and he's going to talk about ways to observe the moon and ways you can image it and photograph the moon. Maybe if you're interested in participating in a contest, he can give you some tips on that. So he'll be talking to us next week about that. So hopefully you can join us next week. You can check the My Moon website. If that's how you got in tonight, there'll be a poster for Brian up there with a link to get into his webcast. So hopefully we'll see you all again next week.
Thanks, Andy, and thanks everybody for joining us this evening.
And Blake, we were chatting earlier in the box. If you could just stay on for a little while, I want to get some more information with you, and we'll get your location on that map fixed for you.